Appreciate you guys being a part of the movement. This is not about me. This is not about Evan. This is not about our team. This is about the brotherhood. This is about
Welcome to Machismo TV, the ultimate destination for modern men seeking to upgrade their lifestyle. Subscribe to Machismo TV and Saul T-Balls. We stream daily from 12 midnight to 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the best male-centric content. Highlight reels without reviewing or providing any editorial bias to the content. We have done so much, with so little for so long, we are now qualified to do anything, with nothing.
Nothing can stop me, 'cause I'm addicted to what you and I realize. Lead the way, I follow, no need to say where we are heading now, babe. I follow to the edge of it all. So tell you good night, 'cause I'll find a better one, yeah. Susceptible night, before the moment flies, before it flies. So tell you good night, 'cause I'll find a better one. Susceptible
Well, listen, I appreciate that, Quiet Storm. I'm honored that you said that, man, because doing these shows are not easy. It's not easy doing these shows, man. And I am a licensed therapist, and this is edutainment for me, using clinical concepts from an ethnocentric perspective. And so, man, I'm honored that you said that, man. I really appreciate that, brother. Thank you, the Quiet Storm. You and I have talked in the back. And I got nothing but love and respect for you. You, Gregory Scott, and Salty Balls, and all the other brothers, man. You, brothers like y'all, make it worth of my time. And so I really appreciate that. He said that I told Kosher his streams have helped me with my mental health and PTSD in more ways than he could ever imagine. That's why I always start my super chat out with the phrase for tonight's therapy session. No doubt, man. I appreciate it, brother. And I'll use this, guys, for those that want to criticize me, because this is edutainment.
I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
To exclusively marry black men. We are in the middle of a crisis. Black men are in crisis. And anybody who denies that black men are in crisis is ignoring the data, the science, the research, the statistics. It is not a figment of your imagination that there are not enough eligible black men to marry.
It's been an honor serving with you all. Autobots, roll out. We roll.
Nanobots, transform.
She lie on them brothers, separate uncles and nephews and cousins and try to pin us against mothers. How you a woman but ain't got a man for protection, but you undercover? How do you think that we suffer? Thought we were sisters and brothers. Now you get birthed in the gutter. When they rap, they the same ones that cut you. Be the same ones who yelling they love you. Be the same ones who calling me nigga. After that wanna say I'm his brother. Yeah, she lie on them brothers. 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 So all going on in your man, you don't get it. And using your women as splitters, then hitters. Put you in place and our family ruin. Target your boys, you don't see what they doing. We gotta beat them, you wanna join them, we just leave them. Your feminist feminism, more like treason. Politics, you don't even follow leaders. First is master probably cause of your Jesus.
God is white. Isn't it obvious?
Well, that is obvious, but we don't know if it's obvious that God is white. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that Jesus did not have blonde hair and blue eyes. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that the images of Jesus that are on prison walls and churches throughout the world are not historically correct, because history teaches us that Jesus was born in a region where the people had color. There's proof in the very Bible that you ask us to read in Revelation, 1st chapter, verse 14 and 15, that Jesus had hair like wool and feet the color of brass.
Just what are you saying?
I'm not saying anything. I'm proving to you that Jesus was not, and I might quote one of our Indian brothers, he was not a pale face.
This would have been a dick, you didn't believe it. You reap the benefits from your achievements. Penitentiary, all we get is deleted. But God on our side, baby, we gon' beat it. She lie on them brothers. She lie on them brothers.
I've been on you, and I'm the biggest, baddest.
Separate uncles and nephews and cousins and try to pin us against mothers. How you a woman but ain't got a man for protection, but you undercover? How do you think that we suffer? Thought we were sisters and brothers. Now you get birthed in the gutter. When they rap, they the same ones that cut you. Be the same ones who yelling they love you. Be the same ones who calling me nigga. After that wanna say I'm his brother. She lie on the brothers. 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 She lie on the brothers.
Breaking all these black men with what? And they don't give a fuck. Yeah, this man hit me fucking with Brother Rock and he hit me in my fucking face because I would have given him my number. And all y'all just fucking watch. Y'all see that shit? Y'all see that shit? What y'all do? I want y'all to be a man. I want y'all to be a man and fucking do something. Y'all gonna let a man hit me in my face.
Roll out. 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 Roll out.
Fire. Kosher Clinician.
If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. Heaven and hell, that's what they told you. Real men put the strap down and we can toss them. Young heads picking back up and young dolphins. This is our culture. Now we talking kosher. Clinician, masculinity issues, asking fathers who miss you, mama drama don't kiss you, all a part of the ritual, this is how they get you, separate the men, women, clipping babies pretend to, damn, lovers, haters, acting like vultures, if it ain't 7, it ain't kosher, if it ain't kosher, ain't right, gotta divorce us, if it ain't 7, it ain't kosher, if it ain't kosher, ain't right, gotta divorce us, if it ain't 7, it ain't kosher, if it ain't kosher, ain't right, gotta divorce us. This is Kosher Condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is Kosher Condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is Kosher Condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is Kosher Condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. Listen.
We're about to go live in a minute, guys. If you like what we're doing, donate to the channel and share the stream. I got a special guest on tonight as we talk about the importance of the black male image. Get your pens and paper ready, guys. I'm going to drop some fire for your mind on tonight with my man Soul, Sartorialist. And we're going to have a good show. Won't be before you long. Get ready, guys. Let's do it. Bringing it to you live once again from the greatest state in the Union, the Tar Heel State, where the topography is serene, pristine, and verdant green, where every day is Father's Day, and where manhood is part of hills and valleys, victories and failures, and whereas men, we don't agree on all things or ideologies, but tonight we come together as allies of a common cause, only to dissipate once the crisis is over. Now listen, I'm about to drop some fire for your mind. But before I drop that fire, let's explore why we are doing the Manhood Chronicles. All right, guys, we're going to go live. Thank you for tuning in to the 7. Guys, we like what we're doing. Donate to the channel and share the stream on the night. But this show is going to be very important for you men that have had your image marred for whatever reasons you've had it marred. And I'm going to share this before I bring my man Soul on. The image of black men have been under attack for a while. And when you have a healthy image of yourself, then you're not so easily to be besmirched. But one would argue that the image of black men has been under attack not only before and during pre- and post-antebellum slavery, but it still precipitates. And this is not just a black male image issue, it's an American male image thing. But consistent with Tavis Smiley, he said that when white America get a cold, then black America will get the flu. And there's a flu of some sorts when it comes down to the image of black men. We're going to have a good show on today. Donate to the channel and share the stream. I got my man Soul coming on. He was with me at the conclave, a good young man. He's been doing some great work. He's going to be talking about how he transformed himself from being a nerd to a high-value man. Because, see, many times in the black community, guys, we know that if you don't have swag, then they see you as a nerd, only to want you on the back end of their lives once their lives have been shattered for whatever reason. So without further ado, I want to bring my man, the Soul Sartorius, in the house, and we're going to talk about the importance of black men and the black male image. How you doing, sir?
Hey, my brother, what's going on? How are you?
Doing great, doing great. So, you know, it was an honor to meet you at the conclave, man. It was an honor to meet you. And it was an honor to not only have a conversation, but also to see so many young men come together, young and old, to have a greater conversation about iron sharpening iron and men galvanizing themselves. Could one say that the image of black men is under attack? And if it is under attack, why do you think that's the case?
Yeah, number one, my brother, it was a pleasure to meet you as well with all of the well-dressed, timely brothers. One thing I want to say about that event, it was extremely encouraging to see young men as young as 18 there who had a desire to be great, a desire to be the best version of themselves. And so I think the reason why there is a negative image of black men is because we don't control the media. We understand we've been in this country for, a couple hundred years. And there are false narratives that are continually perpetrated throughout the media. And so the beautiful thing about, or places like yourself and the conclave is that we have an opportunity to answer the call and to make those people a liar who assume or stereotype black men as all being one specific thing. And there's more men who have the desire to control our ethnic image, not just here in the States, but internationally as well.
Yeah. If one would argue about the evolution of black men, do you see a slow evolution brewing above the horizon? And if so, what do you think that can do for the image of black men, in your opinion?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think when you look at the events like the conclave and also even the black menswear, the brothers over in Texas who just they do like a fashion walk. We know that they were in the media recently, but men are saying, hey, look, the media has had 40 to 50 to 60 to 70 years to besmirch black men's image, and we are going to put our face out there. We are going to put our boots on the ground, and we're going to control that. So yeah, I think it's not just on the horizon, but it's already here. And I think that there's nothing you can do to stop men who are determined to be a positive influence in their community. So yeah, it's definitely here. And we're getting together just like the Voltron, or you had the you showed the what was it called, the Transformers.
Right. Hold tight. Yeah, the Transformers, man. A lot of brothers are rolling out because they are transforming their minds from the conditioning here in America.
It's been an honor serving with you all. Autobots, roll out. We roll.
Nanobots, transform. Now, so many men are transforming. You talked about, in private, we talked about you grew up in the inner cities and you have transformed to an image coach. Let's talk about your formative years and the guidance or the lack thereof that you didn't have, and why you took it upon yourself to transform yourself into an image consultant, but also to transform the lives of so many men with modifying their image, as we know the image is part of your mental health.
Definitely, yeah. Where would you like to start? What you got?
Hey, brother, you let it roll, man. You got that little swag. I'm gonna let you roll, man.
Yeah, I grew up in the inner city like many black men. I'm from the Northeast, growing up there, and especially in the 90s, because I'm in my 30s, early 30s. Looking like Steve Urkel, having the big, thick glasses, that wasn't necessarily cool. Right. And then, early in my life, I moved over to the suburbs from the inner city. So it was interesting to see how people tried to put you in a certain box. But growing up in the city, you have a certain type of edge to you. And there's a certain fearlessness you have when you grow up in certain environments. And so I've always had a self-determination because I was raised by a single father who raised me and my sister. So he always gave me a great self-esteem and to have not to be a follower, but to be a leader. And no matter what people say about you, as long as you know what you say about you inside of yourself, you have the capacity to be successful and to overcome the stereotypes, especially, like I said, being in the 90s. being called Steve Urkel every day.
Hold on, because I'm sure they told. I'm sure you were second guessing yourself. I'm sure. So you ask yourself the question, that I do that? Because many times being educated, poised, and polished is seen as an enigma, something negative. What would you say about that?
Yeah, for some reason, it's interesting how we Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, we have all these great intellectual leaders in our community, but on a day, like in a communal level, on a day-to-day basis, it's not seen as a cool thing. You got to always be too cool for school. You have to present yourself and handle yourself in a certain way. It's just very interesting how we have that dichotomy in our community.
Yeah, I totally agree. Shout out to my man Top Gun. He's the number one sponsor of the stream. Top Gun said, nerd, weird, different, and all of that. At 42, I'm accepting and embracing my Sigma mindset. That I was blinded by with gaslighting and manipulation. Stay loyal to the results, fellas. No woman, no cry. And Top Gun, you are the number one sponsor of the stream, brother. I appreciate it. And Top Gun, that is a deal, right? I appreciate it. Shout out to my man Scott H for the 5. Scott H said, I'm proud to be a nerd and have no issues with people knowing that we are high earners and have stable families. And you're a dynamite. I appreciate it.
You got the number, right?
Scott H.
You are talking to
And we're going to get deep into it. But,
you're dynamite.
You know, in the black culture, so there's a concept called swag. You know, swag personifies or supersedes a good, noble black man. And, you know, one of the biggest enigmas that we see is that people assume that black men hate black women, and we don't hate black women. We don't hate women at all. I know I don't. But we don't like the behaviors of so many modern women. As you continue to evolve and as you continue to meet women from different stratas of society, is it fair to say that women outside of the current community embrace men of your worth and your style greater? Do you feel like you get a greater response from women from other cultures when it comes down to respecting you as a man and the good that you bring to the world?
I will say that's kind of a loaded question. I will say this: in our community, especially as Americanized people, you know, the popular culture is the tough guy, the thug, etc. That can be one part of the community. But honestly, in my personal experience, I attract, especially within the black community, women who may be not from America, maybe from Africa, maybe from Jamaica, etc. So I find that you just become more valuable to every community. So I wouldn't say better. I would just say they look at you as an asset. Whereas in our community, they may say, you know, he's a corny, he's lame. He may not have the so-called alpha male presentation. So I will say in multiple communities, they appreciate the value that you bring, whether that's intellectually, whether that's just your disposition. So I can see there is a higher value, but I wouldn't say better than. I would say they appreciate the value that you bring to that experience.
The evolution of soul. I'm gonna write get a record called The Evolution of Soul. What was the evolution of you? And when did you realize that you bring not only light and goodness to the world, but what was the evolution of soul? Loaded question. The evolution of soul, number one. And then number two, when did you realize that you brought light and goodness to the world?
Yeah. So I think most men, you know, especially when you're younger, and your preteens, you're still trying to figure out what being a man means to you. and you're figuring out what your objective is in life. So I think my awakening came in my early 20s. My first job was at a very luxury type clothing store. And I had the opportunity to really learn about presentation and just learn just typical interpersonal skills. So I would say right around 21, when I was in my early 20s, I really learned that how to be confident, how to present yourself, and how to deal with different types of people. I think a lot of men, especially since we're seen as not as social as women may be, per se, you learn when you first get into the work world how to navigate and deal with different people's backgrounds, cultures. And so for me, it was a very pivotal point in my early 20s. And then so I would say I realized the light that I brought to the world was in my early 20s, especially dealing with a very affluent clientele, because when you typically work in especially sales, you get a lot of feedback from your clients. They're able to send in emails and feedback about their experiences. And I had a really positive experience with a man who was in his 80s, and he was close to, the end of his rope, so to speak. Right. And I had given him such a great experience that the store manager at the place that I worked gave a testimony of his experience to the entire staff of the store. And that taught me that as long as I treat people with empathy, understanding, and kindness, that you don't understand how that can really make someone's day. So I think I learned that in my early 20s. Mm-hmm. And that's a building block of how I live my life today, especially with meeting you and all the other brothers. I always want to be wherever I'm at in any situation. I want to bring empathy, understanding, and kindness to these people, because you never know, especially black men and you know this being in your field, are dealing with, they have so many things pulling at them. Right. And so, yeah.
We're not here to say that you got to wear a suit every time. We're not saying that, but we do understand that wearing a suit is good for your image. Your first suit, when did you get your first suit, and what did it mean to your self-esteem when you got it?
I would say my preteens. I grew up in a very church-based household, so I'm not heavily religious myself now, but in my early teens, I'm gonna be honest with you, I actually didn't appreciate the value of the suit, because people make fun of you in the polyester Walmart suit, going to church and stuff like that. But I think I appreciated the suits that I appreciate was when I first did it on my own dime, because when you're younger, you're dealing with whatever your parents can afford. But I really appreciated my first suit was when I was in my early 20s, because I could actually afford to buy the style that I like, the color that I like, the things that I wanted specifically. And that helped me to see that I've had people offer me jobs just by walking. I used to work in the mall, mm-hmm. and just by walking in the mall, people just like, oh, wow, this well-dressed young black man in an area that's not a lot of blacks, African-American men in general. And people would just literally walk up, hey, man, I like the way I just want to give you my card, just random people. And I realized that the way you present yourself, whether you're in a suit or not, if you're clean, you're well kempt, people really do appreciate that. And it really stands out, especially as a younger black man.
Would you say that many black men, and let me be real clear how I'll say this, because people will take what you say and run with it. We're not saying that you that you can't wear urban wear. I'm not saying that, and we're not saying that you got to wear a suit all the time either. But could it be argued that some men are in a state of arrested development because they have not learned to enhance their wardrobe? That's number one. And then number two, do you think some men are losing out on earnings potential because they have not enhanced their wardrobe?
Yeah, I know you're a person that believes in the Holy Scriptures yourself. So mm-hmm. I'm not a big spiritual person, but I'll use this. There's a time and a place mm-hmm. for everything. Mm-hmm. If you're going to go play basketball, you're not going to play basketball in a suit. That's true. Right. If you're going to go to a job interview, you're going to wear a suit. So I think a lot of brothers have to understand there's a time in place for everything. No one's asking you to wear a 3-piece suit to go to IHOP or anything like that. But the way you present yourself can strategically be used as a tool, especially because we know there's an inherent bias in the society in which we live. We already know that we can't do nothing about our skin. We can't do nothing about other people's perception of us. The only thing we can do is present our best foot forward, and then take it as, people take us as how we are. So I do think a lot of brothers miss out on that, especially if you're a brother who's not necessarily in the corporate world. My father is a blue collar Henry. He's a plumber, and he is very much a blue collar guy. But he showed, when he went to church, he was always sharp. He always presented, his shoes was always shine. He always had a shoe tree. He always made sure he presented himself appropriately because he always was dirty. His job, he's always dirty. So when he had the opportunity to put his best foot forward, he always did that. And I think a lot of brothers should understand, just wear some slacks or a button-down shirt. If you're going out to a nice restaurant, if you're going to play golf, if you're going to be at a high-end area where there may be a little bit more money and wealth, there's opportunities to network and to build and connect with people when you feel a connection. Just like when you go to a football game, everybody's wearing the same jersey, right? So you feel some sort of kinship. In the same manner, if you're in a higher end area or if you're associating with people that are where you want to be, why not put yourself in a situation where they feel a kinship and a connection with you in that way? So yeah, I think a lot of brothers do miss out on those opportunities, and they don't appreciate the value that just a nice button-down shirt that's not wrinkled can present them.
Yeah, there was a time in the black community, man, when you go back to the 50s and the 40s and the 30s, that black men also in the 50s and 60s, they personify a level of elegance. Not only black men, but American men in general. What do you think caused the death of that personification, in your opinion?
I just think, a lot of people in those days, they were coming from, agrarian background. They were farmers. And then as we got into the Industrial Revolution with the factory workers, men started to see that, the way it was a uniformity in our culture. Everyone had a uniform, police, firefighters, the milkman, the water guy, whoever, everyone had a uniform. So I think as we became into the in the late 90s, 80s, 70s, 60s, everyone wanted to kind of express themselves a certain way. And America is very much an individualistic country. So everybody wants to have their own vibe. So we lost that uniformity. And so I would say probably the 60s, the late 60s, early 70s, and you can even cross-pollinate that with the drug culture as well. So I think, and even now, even more so, because everybody works in a tech world where no one has to come, and there is the rules of just engagement, of dealing with people. People aren't as social as they used to be. So I would say probably the late 60s, early 70s, where that style really changed, and everyone, in America in itself is more individualistic. And that's global. You see that in Japan, you see that in other countries as well. But it's also interesting to see that the quality of customer service, the quality of people's work has declined. And it's interesting that there has been some studies, especially if you go to psychology.com, Psychology of America. I think that's one of the books, one of the resources that I use. Right. It is shown that people actually, and they've done studies, that people actually do better when they dress better. So whether that's, and especially when it comes to sales or people facing jobs, people psychologically, their body, their body, when you look at the way that they handle their body, I was going to say their body composition, the way that they stand, the way that they sit, the way that they present themselves. There's confidence when you know that you're sharp. Every brother knows when you go to the barbershop, that first 2 or 3 days after you get that fresh cut, how do you feel? How do you act? How do you interact with people when you're feeling that way? So there's a psychological component to that as well.
Shout out to my man, a man supporting men for the 5. He said, I purchased my first brim when, and I spent $400 on it. And I totally agree with him in doing that, man, because that's important and that's very powerful. Shout out to my man, a man supporting men, and as Porky Pig said, that's all, folks. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you for the 5. Thank you, sir. All right, so hold tight. One would argue so that the conclave should have got a lot more press. One would argue that it should have got a lot more press. It was a very momentous occasion, and it was a good vibe in a time when the world is so dark. When you think about the word, or tell the audience, what does the word sartorialist mean? What does it mean? What is a sartorialist to those that are ignorant and to those that might not understand what it means?
Yeah, so I would make it very easy. If we all go to sartorial, means relating to tailoring, clothes, or style, or dress. And so as a person who is very sartorial, it means that I appreciate the way that I present myself. I'm a person who, we talking about nerds, I'm a nerd for presentation, clothing, fabrics, things of that nature. Just like a person who loves good film or a person that loves good wine. In the same way, you appreciate presentation, specifically when it comes to clothing.
Right. Okay. All right. You're a man on a mission. You're a man with a purpose. And you talked about how suits have helped your image, but why every man needs a suit, and there is a psychology behind suits. Do you think that if men or black men in America were more conscientious about maybe wearing suits periodically, what type of positive gains do you think they can have on a continuum?
Yeah, I mean, again, we black at the end of the day. So just because, I will say this, just because you dress up don't mean people ain't going to treat you better.
Right.
But we already talked about the psychological component, and we already talked about how I've gotten job offers. And so I'll ask this question to you. If you went to your doctor, right? And your doctor was wearing some hooping shorts, some Jordans, and had a shirt with ketchup and mustard stains on it, would you feel comfortable with them doing surgery on you?
No.
Okay, so if you're a competent professional, especially at the Conclave, these brothers are investing in technology, getting certifications. They're putting time into investing in themselves. Why would you invest all that money, time, and effort into being the best version of yourself from a professional point of view, but then fumble the ball when it comes to your presentation? If you saw a person that was let's use another example. Let's say you went to your plumber, and your plumber was dressed in a three-piece suit and pulled up in a Rolls Royce. Would you feel comfortable with the type of rate he's going to charge you?
Oh, yeah. I agree. I think that's like you said, there's a time for all things. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Exactly. Or your mechanic presents himself in a way that makes you feel comfortable with their level of expertise, their competency. And especially as black men, we know that people already inherently believe that we're not competent, we're not professional, we don't have the capacity to be professional. And so when you present yourself in a certain manner, doesn't necessarily mean that all people will treat you that way, but it gives you a better opportunity. It gives you just like a wide receiver, when he goes out and plays in the elements, he's going to wear gloves, right? It's easier for him to catch the ball. He has the uniform. He has the effective tools for him to be the best version of himself or to perform at the highest level possible. And so in the same way, that button-down shirt, not necessarily a suit, could be your secret weapon to getting the type of results that you want.
No doubt. I call it dressing for the occasion. When the shaman was more or less doing rituals, he dressed for the occasion. When the soldiers go to war, they dress for the occasion. When the master teachers teach, they dress for occasion. And so I think men should dress for the occasion and be more introspective about that, because your image is everything. We know that suit alone doesn't mean that a man is a perfect man. We know that wearing a suit doesn't make you necessarily a man of character. But there is a time and a place for all things. And sadly, we have men that have not learned how to adjust to that. And they'll fight it. Listen, I ain't got no dog in the fight. Do what you want to do. I don't tell grown men what to do. But we know, and I know, and you know, and understand that how you dress plays a major role in how the world perceives you. And our ancestors understood that years ago. But this world and this culture is so broken, it appears, in my opinion, that no matter what you say, there's a veil over people's eyes where they won't perceive the truth. Shout out to my man Jerome Payne for the 5. Thank you, brother Jerome Payne. He said peace and health, Mr. Kosher. And I appreciate that, brother Jerome Payne. And you are dynamite.
Hello, lucky person.
Thank you, brother Jerome Payne. I appreciate it.
Right? Because you are talking to kid a dynamite. Pure dynamite.
You're doing well for yourself. You place yourself in a position where you're probably making as much or more money than you probably ever made in your life. You have a very distinct style about yourself. How long did it take you to evolve to this particular place in your life? And what has it meant for your self-esteem? And at some point, we're going to explore this video that I have, and we're going to break this thing down as well, about how so many have so much animus towards black men, black male image, and also wearing suits.
Yeah, I would say it's taken every bit of the last 30 years plus of life. When, like you said, neither one of us were born with a silver spoon in our mouth, right? Mm-hmm. And so when you grow up in a certain environment, there's a certain level that you have to work at to get to that level. And again, being at the Conclave and seeing these men putting in the work. in this world, especially in America, if you do not put in the work, you will not get there. No one is going to save you. No one's going to give you a handout. No one is going to feel sorry for you. And so when I invested in myself, whether that is doing Toastmasters, whether that is public speaking, buying books on public speaking, buying books on psychology, interpersonal skills, soft skills, things that are going to allow you to network and build the type of relationships that can help you to get to where you need to go. It's been a lifetime journey, and it's a continuous journey. There is never a time when you need to stop growing and expanding and developing. You have to consistently, on a weekly, daily, yearly basis, invest in yourself. So it's a consistent, constant type of development. And that's helped me to, and I've gotten to this point in my life because, again, I've invested in myself. And none of this stuff is fun. No one wants to take time to read books about interpersonal and soft skills. That's boring. But that boring stuff is going to get you to where you need to go.
Right. I appreciate that, what you're saying, man, because there is a market for a woman that will tailor to your needs. I call it the man whisperer. And the man whisperer will tailor to the needs of an upright and astute man like yourself. And I will also argue so that it gets better with time if you stay the course. Would you agree with that?
I agree 100%.
Talk about that in your opinion.
Yeah, a lot of brothers, and I've seen this a lot, especially in our community, we want to get it quick, fast, in a hurry. We always want to cut corners, especially when you look at social media and we see, these guys in their 20s and they got the Ferraris and they got the stacks of money and they got the so-called private jets. The reality is, in this country, it takes time. You will not have it at 18. You may not even have it at 21. You may not even have it at 25. But if you take the time to invest in yourself, and it takes years, typically, I tell men, you really ain't going to see a lot of that return on investment till your late 20s, early 30s. And it's not about how quick you get it. It's about what you learned on your way to that. What life lessons did you learn? What skills did you pick up that make you a valuable asset to any room that you step into? So that when you step in that room, you know what you're bringing and you have the confidence that you are competent, that you are ready for whatever's in front of you. So yeah, it gets way better with age. And I would tell the young brothers who are listening now, don't expect to have it as soon as possible. Don't expect to have it tomorrow. It is a constant growth. But if you roll your sleeves up and you don't cut corners and you truly invest in making yourself the best version of yourself, you will see those results tenfold. But it's not the fun stuff. It's not the sexy stuff. You might have to stay in the house a couple days. You might have to save a couple dollars and really take that money that you would invest going out with your friends and invest in yourself, in the soft skills, in courses, in things that are going to give you a return on investment in the long term. It's not a short-term investment.
Right. Yes, it's definitely a long haul, man. I've experienced that myself. When you look at the whole encapsulation of the conclave, is there one particular thing that stood out that left you mesmerized, to say the least?
I'm going to be honest. I think everybody left me mesmerized to see brothers from all different parts of the political spectrum, all brothers from different financial situations, all different ages. And in our community, there's always this thing where they have about the old head and the young head. They always beefing and they don't respect each other. I saw nothing but complete respect and honor that the young brothers were sharing to the older brothers, but even the older brothers were showing to the young men. The brothers just wanted to be great. There was no ego. There was no, I'm better than this person or whatever. I felt at home, and I felt a family of these with these brothers who came together to support each other. So I would say the whole event was mesmerizing. From the speeches to the breaks that we had to talk and to build those relationships across the board, from walking into that fancy hotel in ATL to the final day. I have never been in a situation where I felt so much positive energy from brothers that want to do great.
You talked about being raised by a single father. What did your father tell you so that other men should be telling their sons as it relates to image, as it relates to also being the best version of themselves?
Yeah.
In that loaded question.
Yeah. My father, being as a, like I said, blue collar Henry himself, he taught me, especially as a young kid, he would take me along to do the jobs with him, cut the pipe, clean the half-inch 90s. He would help me use the reciprocating saws, just stuff that you use when, you have family in the trades. And he taught me, and it always sticks into my mind. My father is in his early 70s. He's an older gentleman. And so I guess they would call him a boomer. But he said, you have to do what other people aren't willing to do. Because in this world, you have to offer value to people that they see. Not everybody wants to be rich, but not everybody wants to do what it takes to become rich. Everybody wants to be successful, but not everybody's willing to wake up, to read the books, to do the things necessary. And he always put that in my head. Do what other people aren't willing to do. Because most people aren't willing to invest themselves. Most people aren't willing to pay $200-$300 to travel to another state to learn about tech and to take a course that's really hard and to read a whole bunch of books and to go through all that mental work that it takes to get to that next level. But these brothers chose to do that. So I would say you got to do what other people aren't willing to do. And honestly, most people aren't willing to roll up their sleeves and do what's necessary to truly be successful. They say it, they may post about it, but very few people is about it.
Yeah, very few about it. And a man would be a fool to work hard in his 20s, put into work, and not get a high return on his investment. Guys, in the meantime, donate to the channel, share this stream. This is a good show. Me and my man Soul are having a comprehensive conversation on the image of black men. But the robot told me to tell you that inflation is high. And he said, tell them Negroes to get the likes up. Get the likes up. Being called a nerd, so what did that do to your psyche as a human being, man? You were called a nerd. What did that do to you mentally, man? Being called a nerd. What did that do to your psyche overall?
Yeah, maybe it was just being raised by a very strong old school brother. It didn't do anything. It just made me more fire into my ass. You wanted to prove them fools wrong. So it never made me feel some type of way, because when you grow up in a certain environment, in a certain rough area, it's like, man, I've seen so much crazy stuff. There's not too much you can say to me. As long as you put your hands on me, we don't have no problem. You know what I mean? And so for me, it just put a fire into my ass to prove those people a liar, to prove them to be the fools that they are. And now when we're looking at the measure of who's winning on the score, we look at the scoreboard, and where I'm at and where they're at, it's a totally different story. And I think a lot of brothers have to understand, you may be a nerd. You may be looked at as a person who may less than, but remember, the scoreboard never lies. The life scoreboard will never lie. So
you and I are born under fire, man. Now, I don't live by the zodiac. I don't use the zodiac to determine my life, lest I be complicit with witchcraft and divination. But you and I both got that Leo swag, man. There's something about a Leo, man. Leos, we live for the moment. We laugh at our naysayers. We might not get you the first quarter, we might not get you the sixth quarter, but we're gonna get you at some point. Mm-hmm. Having that je ne sais quoi, how's that propelled you into your current state that you're in right now?
Yeah, and I just emphasize, brothers, man, and interpersonal skills, brother. When you get that fresh cut and you come in that room and you looking good and you smelling good, can't nobody do nothing with you. You know what I mean? You got your inner Deion Sanders. It's like it's one of those things where you just you own the room. And a lot of men have to understand there's power in yourself. When you believe in yourself and you smell good and you feel good and you're ready to take over the world, there's nothing that you cannot accomplish. I never thought I would be a head speaker at this event. I never thought that, but I knew that if I brought value to the room that I was in, and I brought value to others that were around me, and I carried myself with a decorum, and I stayed focused on the goal to help and empower black men and to be a positive influence, that the universe would give me the right situation to be a positive influence. And lo and behold, me and you here on this podcast, me and you met at the conclave, and lo and behold, I had the opportunity to be a presenter at that monumentous event as well.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about some of the few things, if you don't mind. Let's share with the audience a few elemental principles that's important to being or more or less manifesting the kind of things they need to manifest with their clothes. Let's talk about that briefly, and then we're going to critique this show by Medium Man, and also the negative backlash and the negative culture that does not personify what our ancestors personified maybe 60 years ago.
Yeah. So you were talking about the. What was your question again?
So basically, when it comes down to dress, men need to know. They need to know and understand what. They need to know and understand what.
I would say the two things, right? And it goes beyond your wallet. As long as you understand how things fit and function are extremely important. A lot of brothers' pants is too tight or they're too big. Sometimes you have to take the time when you go into a nice store, talk to the salesperson. Hey man, I don't wear a lot of these all the time. I want to learn how can I tell what's a good fit? Fit and function are the most important things. You may not have $100,000 a year. You may not be so-called a high value man yet, but if you have clothes that fit you effectively and that are well constructed. So again, it's not about going to H&M or Zara or those places. Sometimes a good quality shirt that costs you $50 to $70, you get more wear out of that than you would a shirt that you spend $20 with, that the first time you wash it, it's 3 sizes too small. So you have to understand the fit and the function. Those are the things that you can use to really get an upgrade. And then most men, especially if you're in your early 20s and teens, most men are trying to go off what they see in the music videos or what they see on social media. No, understand that classic is always going to be best, because you can't wear stuff right now. You would look interesting if you started wearing some of that stuff you wore in the 80s versus what you're wearing in 2023. If I wore stuff my father wore in the 1960s, I think people would look at me a little bit differently. So in a way that a lot of men can look at that is, watch some of the old James Bond movies. I've taken it upon myself on Amazon. They have all of the James Bond movies. And the thing that makes James Bond so smooth is that the stuff that he wore was timeless. No matter what decade that you're in, it fits well, it looks good, it's not too gaudy, it's relatively plain, but it fits him perfectly, and he can wear it with anything. He is smooth. So look at James Bond. If you want to get inspiration for style, don't look at the rappers and the musicians, because they're wearing stuff that's only going to be good for the next couple of weeks. Look at something that's going to be fly for the tail of time. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Shoe game.
Yeah.
We talked about shoe game and the importance of enhancing your shoe game, and give the guys some basic prerequisites.
Yeah, man.
For having the right shoes on, man.
Yeah, brother. You got to get that shoe tree. If you have dress shoes, and a good quality dress shoe is going to cost you anywhere between $150 to $200, you want to get a nice shoe tree. Shoe tree is a piece of wood that you place inside of the sole of the inside of the foot of your shoe. And we've all had this situation where you wear some sneakers or you wear some nice dress shoes, where right where the toe box is, where your toes are, it starts to wrinkle at the top of it. And you start seeing those wrinkles, and the shoe used to fit real nice, but then start looking like you were the Wicked Witch is dead. You got that little curl on there. A nice shoe tree that's made out of cedar. It's going to help remove that funk out your shoe, because you know you got some sweaty feet. You know you got them socks that you wore too many times. You should have washed them the first time. You take those shoe tree, and that'll remove some of the smell, and it'll keep the form of your shoes. Even with sneakers, you invest in $100, $200 in these shoes, a shoe tree will keep the form of your shoe, because leather is just like your skin. It stretches and it keeps the indentation. So that shoe tree costs you $30, $40, but it'll help you keep those shoes fly for a couple of years. So that shoe tree can be very important. And also, when you're going on a date, you don't always have to wear Jordans. Jordans is nice. The Jordans, Adidas, shell toe is cool. But why not invest in some luxury sneakers? All white, all black, luxury sneakers that are all white, all black. You can wear them with a sport coat. You can wear them with some slacks. You can swag up your dress. You don't always got to look like you're going to church. You know what I mean? But you can dress them up. Get an all pair of nice luxury all white shoes that don't have a whole bunch of designs on them.
Yeah, no doubt, man. And Teddy told me to tell them that they can't hide from themselves. And we're going to talk about consistent with what Mike Jones said. He said back then they didn't want me. Now that I'm hot, they all on me. And Teddy said you can't hide from yourself. But he also said that Jeremiah Wright said that the chickens,
America's chickens, are coming home to roost.
It appears so that there's a spirit of indifference with so many modern men, and so many are checking out. Some are becoming very apathetic. Tell the audience what you have seen or what you are seeing, so on the kaleidoscope when it comes down to the typical modern man?
Yeah, a lot of men are redefining what ROI looks like for them. I know men, we're used to being providers and givers. As a man, you always are giving of your time, giving of your energy, giving of your finance, giving of your own mental health. And men now, in my personal opinion, are radically redefining their happiness, and they're going what makes them happy. They're no longer looking at being that self-sacrificing person and saying, hey, I'm a sacrifice for others, and live their whole life up until 50 and 60 and get sick from giving and giving and giving and giving and giving and giving and getting very low return on investment. So I think today's man is radically redefining what makes them happy and what makes them tick, and allowing themselves to be happy and not looking at themselves as being a sacrificial lamb in the hope of getting a return on investment. They are really monitoring return on investment in all types of relationships, business or otherwise.
I want you to talk about, let's go back to shoes for a minute, and then we're gonna critique this video real fast, and then we're gonna end the stream. Guys, donate to the channel. If you don't have any money, share the stream. These shows take time. But being a nerd or nerd culture, we look at Steve Urkel. Steve Urkel was seen as a nerd back then, but Steve Urkel went from Steve Urkel to Stefan. And the woman that did not respect him at the time was Laura. But if you look at Steve Urkel and you look at Laura, man, it's almost like night and day, because Laura now look like Porky Pig. Not Porky Pig, but Porky Pig. And Stefan looked like a prince. The women that you've dealt with in the past, man, that didn't give you respect or see the good in you, have some of those women come back to you to try to come into your life, or more or less want to be on your team now? Team soul now?
Not really. To be honest with you, I think, I mean, hey, we want what we want, right? So, they get what they want, and they went after what works best for them. And one thing I'll tell men is never take it personally that someone doesn't see your value, right?
Right.
You know what you're worth, and you know what you provide to the world, and you have to believe that if you can continue to add value to the people around you, and you bring value to the people around you, that you will attract what comes to you. So no, those women have not tried to come back, and that's okay. And I'm fine with that. And you shouldn't live your life worried about the revenge part. I think a lot of brothers get in a situation where like they kind of got that hatred in their heart. And it's okay to feel that it's kind of like just because a diamond is in a trash can don't mean it's not a diamond.
Right.
A diamond inside of a jewelry store is worth a lot of money. It's that same diamond. So your environment is going to dictate that. So put yourself in environments where people can see the value in you, and don't feel bad about the people who don't, don't have the vision to see that.
Yeah. And I think that's why these conversations are so important, because there is a revenge of the nerds, and it's coming to a theater near you. Loving yourself is so important, man. And we know that having the proper clothes can enhance your image as a man. When did Soul begin to love himself and realize the manifest king within?
Yeah, man. I mean, I would say not until really in the last couple of years. And I think a lot of men feel that way. Mm-hmm. You live your life again, always, especially people who have a personality where they want to make other people happy and be a people pleaser. You have to be, and I think a lot of men really need to understand, but being lonely is okay. Being alone allows you to really look at yourself, to really measure, are you with someone because you want to feel that you feel that having someone makes you valuable, or you are valuable and they're just adding to who you already are. And I think spending time by myself and investing in myself, whether that is, taking courses, whether that is making sure that my mental health is well. I work out 3 times a day.
Good.
I work out 3 times a day. And if I don't work out, and if my watch says you're not hitting your goal, I know that I have an objective. Like when we finish up our stream, I'm going to work out 2 or 3 more times. Mm-hmm. And so when you really take that time to do that, that's where you really fall in love with yourself. So men need to understand that if you're not healthy, if you're not in shape, If you're smelling like bologna instead of smelling like, a Polo Black, then you're going to have a problem. You got to really invest in yourself, man. And that's
right.
where, and then when you get those people that are naysayers or talk down on you, what can they say? You smell good.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about shoe game real quick, and then we're going to get deep into this conversation. You got high-end shoes like Magnani's. You got something even higher end than that. You got John Cole or whatever you call it, Kenneth Cole or whatever you call it. And then Stacy's a solid shoe too. For those men that are budget conscious, what shoe do you recommend? That's number one for the budget conscious men. But then for the mid to high tier, what shoes do you recommend?
Yeah, I would say if you're a budget conscious, and so that's always a loaded thing for me because I always believe it's better to save and get something like one nice thing than to have 10 nice things that all falling apart. And so what you'll find with a cheaper shoe, typically the bottom of the shoe will go first, right? You'll see the heel start to wear away and you got to throw the whole shoe away. But when you invest in the quality shoe, you could actually take the heel off and get it replaced. The higher quality shoes are going to cost you about $100, $200. Do that. So I always say being budget conscious does not mean to be cheap. Hold off and buy yourself one good pair and build your wardrobe around that because those shoes can be repaired. The quality of those shoes can be repaired. Sorry, end of the world looks like. But so that's the thing. So for the budget conscious, I would say you could go to a place like a J. Crew, or like a Nordstrom Rack. Typically, Nordstrom is the history. A lot of people don't know this. Nordstrom started off as a shoe store. Did you know that?
Didn't know it.
No, Nordstrom was a shoe store. The Nordstrom family was a shoe store. So then they expanded into wardrobe. So you could go to Nordstrom and probably get you on a sale when they have their anniversary sale, which is they have it like quarterly or maybe twice a year. You get you a nice quality pair of shoes for about $130, $140. And even for a brother that's really working on his money, if you can spend $140 on TV and streaming every month, HBO, Netflix, Hulu, all those different services. Why not invest in a nice pair of shoes that might get you that job that'll help you to be able to afford, a little bit better life. So yeah, I would say for budget conscious, maybe Nordstrom Rack. Mm-hmm. So and then Nordstrom Rack, what Nordstrom Rack is the discount. So if the shoes don't sell at the Nordstrom, they'll mark them all the way down 2 or 3 times. And then they'll send those shoes over to Nordstrom Rack. And then those shoes that were $250, $220, $230, you might can get them at Nordstrom Rack for $100, maybe $80, $90.
Right. Yeah.
It also could be seasonal. You could live in an area that's more, and it's also based off the area you live. You could be in a more conservative, like Chapel Hill may not have the same style as a Charlotte. Charlotte may not have the same style as a Raleigh, different type of demographics. Those demographics in Raleigh may be a little bit more conservative than a Charlotte. So those shoes that are a little bit more personality, the brothers like a little bit more flashiness. So those shoes might not sell as much. And then they'll mark them all the way down and put them at the rack. So you can find some really good stuff as a budget conscious brother at Nordstrom Rack. And then if you want a more higher end store, go to the regular Nordstrom, or you could go to maybe I would say Alden, ALDEN. They're a Northeast company, not Aldo's, but Alden, ALDEN. They're a really nice American-made shoemaker. And you can get some really good shoes for about $200, $220, $230. But you really want a shoe that you can get fixed if the heel falls off or breaks. You want shoes that are long-term investment.
Right. Yeah, and I've seen that. I bought some shoes, man, and the more expensive ones, man, they can last for years. Some 10, 15 years, man, and keep ticking. And so the ones that don't cost as much, they do all right, but they don't have the reliability as a upscale shoe. And so having your shoe game on point is important, man. And Magnani is a good shoe. There are other companies as well. But we're going to go down the rabbit hole in a minute, guys. And once again, guys, get the likes up. Donate to the channel if you have not donated. And this conversation is important because the black male image has been under attack. So, guys, if you're ready, hit 1 because my man Solar now about to go down the rabbit hole. And hit 1 because we're about to go down the rabbit hole.
Appreciate you guys being a part of the movement. This is not about me. This is not about Evan. This is not about our team. This is about the brotherhood. This is about...
Down the rabbit hole we go. This is the part of the show where we assess, examine, collaborate. All right, we're going to assess and examine the hatred that so many are having about the black male image. So let's look at this. I know your time is short, and we'll look at it periodically, and we're going to end this thing, but I definitely wanted to do a show with you. And trying to be a man to my word, man, I decided to do it. So let's talk about it.
This is not about me. This is not about Evan. It's not about our team. This is about the brotherhood. It's about...
Hold tight.
It's because of the fact.
So guys, this is fair use. Fair use, guys.
So you had to go put on your fucking vest and cummerbund and pose like you were a positive image for black men while you're...
Jesus.
I thought it was just a whole bunch of niggas in line for brunch. Like, I didn't get that this was a positive image. Everyone had the brunch shoes on, the little pointed toe, shiny shoes. And to me, a suit, not all of them also had suit. Like, it was giving blazers, not tuxedos.
Just shaming language.
I guess I just don't understand why black men knowing what Burlington Coat Factory is means it's a positive image.
Here we go. Shaming language. And this is coming from her. And I already told you guys, and I'm being as nice as possible, I am never impressed by the caliber of women that get on these spaces and talk mess about black men.
Here's that kind of rhetoric when you got a selection of men trying to do something positive. What's resonating in your psyche, man, when you hear that?
I think a lot of people, especially on the internet, they like to talk because they like to talk. But the brother that actually, and I followed the group of men who do these events, the Black Menswear, they do a lot of community outreach in every city that they go to. They have brand deals with some of the biggest companies in the whole United States of America. You're talking about like, Procter and Gamble and Bevel and all these big organizations. And they do quite a bit of community outreach. And the gentleman is also married to a black woman, has several children that they are married, and young men that he's, in his marriage. And he's a good husband. He's a Christian man. He does a lot in his community, in the ministry as well. And so the ladies that were talking, I think they were just speaking, because you got to create content nowadays. They were talking out of ignorance. And when you really get a chance to go look, and when people, especially the brothers looking at this video, go watch Black Menswear, follow them on Instagram, and see what they're doing for the community. And so for me, I never let someone who's throwing stones on the outside, because you know that with what you're doing on the inside, they are putting their feet on the ground. They are going to different communities. They are building brotherhood. And we should never let manhood be defined by people who aren't men. We define who we are. We define what positive images are in our community. We can define all the negative stuff in the ghetto and the baby daddy and the toxic masculinity and all the negative things. So men are saying we are doing positive things and we're going to do good things, and don't worry about the people on the outside looking in. So for my psyche, again, it just lights a fire under my ass and continue to make the haters get mad.
No doubt. Hold on.
Never impressed. We're talking about suits. You guys seen the post on the community section, and a lot of people were asking, how can you be offended with black men wearing suits? Trust me, I didn't know that was possible. I honestly didn't. And there's a reason why I'm covering this video, is because of the fact that it's not because I'm trying to dunk on black women, but I just want men to understand what you're dealing with. And I also want some proof out there that you guys can point to when somebody attacks black men. And this is not me saying you need to be worried about how black women feel in regards to what black men are doing. We're going to do what we do regardless. If we want to wear suits, it is what it is. However, it just goes to show you how messed up the black community is. Because if you look at an image.
And I agree with him. It is messed up. So because we live in a time in the world when you do things that are benevolent, when you have the naysayers say you don't build anything, then they'll turn around and contradict themselves and try to find fault when men are doing something so positive. But we're going to keep looking at this. Hold tight.
Of young boys from 7 all the way up to older men that are sitting in a line and they're doing a Dallas meetup, and they're all wearing suits.
But I think I'm liking her more. She does the things I never asked for. No more. Baby, you can touch and feel, just don't get in the way. But I think I'm liking her more. She does the things I never asked for. No more. And feel, just don't get in the way.
You would never think that you would find something negative about this image.
Who can find something negative in that? So when there was a time when that was just a norm for black people in America, why would someone find something negative in black men unifying and wearing suits to address their image?
Yeah, I always just say it just speaks about who they are as a person. If you look at a person that's trying to do well and be a positive example, and all you can say is negative stuff, it just talks about their mind state. So for me, I never go by the thing of being a player hater in any way, shape, or form. You just do the best that you can and worry about yourself. So I don't know. It just talks about, maybe they need some self-evaluation as well.
No doubt. Guys, donate to the channel, share the stream. If you don't have any money, donate to the channel. We're not going to be with you guys long. My man Soul got to go, but I want you guys to see and understand why the image of black men is so important. Thank you, guys.
The black male ethnic image of wearing suits. From what I see, this conversation has been going on for about 2 weeks. But like I said, I was at work and I really don't get a chance to review these things like I want to. However, when I saw this, and it was crazy. And I felt that it was necessary that we talk about this. And hopefully you guys will understand why I'm in these spaces for the black male ethnic image. And because of this reason. So I would never thought that black women would have an issue with black men wearing suits, but they found one. And these young women on the See the Thing Is podcast, they kind of put everything into perspective as to why they don't like seeing black men in suits. So without further ado, let's see this foolery.
Girl,
what we get into first?
We need to address
which one? Because there's 3 topics.
We need to address the wolves in sheep's clothing.
Which one?
And it seemed like to me they're trying to find reasons. They're trying to find reasons to minimize or to find fault with men wearing suits. I've never seen this type of negative thinking in society when people are trying to do something positive and they're trying to find something negative about it. Almost like they're projecting and minimizing the good accomplishments of these young men. That's weird to me, man.
So they're calling it the wolves in sheep's clothing. That's what they're calling black men in suits. And remember, it was kids out there too. So let's continue.
Positive image for black men, because this has been retweeted, quoted, reposted
so much on the goddamn,
and y'all are annoying as fuck. Y'all are annoying with this.
So the problem is, and I saw so many things. I saw one lady talk about, I thought this was great until my homegirl said her baby daddy was a part of this troll and wouldn't take her kid to the doctor, so she had to get off work early to go get us.
Okay, so stop right there. So they
take one person, and magnify it and make it a typical of the whole movement. What would you say when you hear that kind of foolishness?
Again, it just talks about where they are. You just got to do with, again, I know the brother personally. I've seen the work that they do in the community, and they have such a great reputation. He's a married man, married to a black woman, doing positive things in his community and church. These people obviously don't know that man personally, and it's hard to take things personally when people don't know you. And so to me, it's just right off the back. It's typical. Like I said, of people that want to get content and they want to talk negatively about others, but it says a lot about them. If you got to tear someone else down and be negative towards something positive, then that's the wrong mindset to have.
Yeah. I find it weird when you just take one example with the baby father. Okay, let's say he's supposed to have been where he was supposed to have been at, but you take that one example and you denigrate the whole movement. That's overgeneralization, man. And it goes back why a segment of our men are checking out. We're not saying all, but many guys are beginning to see things for what it is, sadly, man. Hold tight.
Some girl, I guess, went on Twitter and lied and said that her friend said that she saw her baby daddy out there wearing a suit and he decided to do that instead of picking up his kids. And they ran with that narrative thinking that that's all the black men out there, or that story was actually true. It was probably false. They're just trying to throw shade. I just learned that word. Shade on black men. It is what it is, but that's what she's talking about. So let's continue.
Wouldn't make a goddamn doctor's appointment for their kid because he had to go put his suit on and stand in a line with some other niggas.
So you had to go put on your fucking vest and cummerbund and pose like you were a positive image for black.
And that's the incessant level of negativity that we hear all the time. Special shout out to the good sisters that are doing good work. We know there's not all the sisters in our community, so I'm not going to overgeneralize and say all sisters are doing that. I'm not going to say that, but sadly, there's a high percentage. You would think once again that some would be excited to see this, but you're trying to find a way to project and to denigrate something that's good. You know, it's just weird that we have these kind of conversations, or more or less a time when what's good is bad and what's bad is good. I find that weird. So I find that extremely weird. But hold tight.
Jesus. Who would have thought? Let's continue.
Not taking care of your kids.
My problem was when I first saw this, I thought it was just a whole bunch of niggas in line for brunch. Like, I didn't get that this was a positive image. I thought this was one of them little, everyone had the brunch shoes on, the little pointed toe, shiny shoes. And to me, a suit, not all of them also had suit. Like, it was giving blazers, not tuxedos.
Just shaming language. Why do they? Let's continue.
Shout out to my man, the Quiet Storm for the $50 hitter. The Quiet Storm said for tonight's therapy session, this woman on Medium Man's clip is an idiot. But there were also brothers, some of them is in their 50s, vehemently arguing with Kevin about wearing suits to get better outcomes and improving their image. And I appreciate that, my man, the Quiet Storm. And Quiet Storm, you are the #1 sponsor of this stream, brother. And I appreciate that.
Right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Got 5 on it.
Shout out to my man, the Quiet Stormers. He's the #1 sponsor of the stream. I appreciate that, brother. Let's get back to it.
Or not even like suits that you would wear in court. I don't know. Look at me in court.
No, they were nice. Everybody was dressed well.
The problem was they associated a man in a suit as being a positive reinforcement for young black men. And again, talking...
What's your take on a woman negative like this trying to re-establish or redefine what's important and potent for black men? So when you hear that, so what's your take on that, brother?
Yeah, I would never tell her what a positive example is to be a woman, because I don't identify as a woman personally. So I think it's very interesting that she would try to tell men who identify as men that, what it is to be. So to me, I think it's laughable because she wouldn't like that being done to her. And so to me, I personally just don't pay attention to it. I would literally just check out. I'm not listening. Once you start telling me what I should do and what men should do, you're not the proper person, in the same way that I wouldn't be the proper person to tell her what's the best representation of being a woman.
Shout out to my man Top Gun 42. He said funk these funky dog hair pictures. Wow. Shout out to Top Gun.
Hello, lucky person. You got the number right, because you are talking to kid a dynamite. Pure dynamite.
Obong Agwan, she said she talking nonsense. And she's definitely talking nonsense. And so I'm gonna leave that alone.
Earlier about the fact that conversations aren't being had with young kids regarding rejection, seeing that so many women, peers, celebrities included, are being left to be single moms. We've shared videos on here where men aren't accountable for how many kids they're creating.
Now you guys understand why I'm in these spaces? You hear what she said? That narrative is still being pushed in the Black community. Keep in mind, we did a review on these young women. Both of them are mixed race. They're interracial kids, right? I think they both have Black dads and white moms.
That's how we all got here. A white woman and a Black man.
That's how we all got here. A white woman and a Black man.
So this is why that I'm in these spaces, because these narratives are continuously pushed about Black men. They are under the impression that all Black men are out here just creating all these babies, when we all know that we just debunked this. I spent damn near 2 weeks debunking all that stuff in regards to Black men being deadbeats. We already.
When you hear the tired narrative, man, there's so many project about Black men being deadbeats, not being good fathers, and there's no evidence to prove. We know there's a percentage, like the Raekwons and the Man-Mans, that'll say, "Oh my mama." But when you hear that, what does it do to your psyche hearing that nonsense?
Specifically, what do we like my psyche when it comes to?
So when you hear the constant talking points about Black men don't take care of their kids, what does that do to your psyche? That's what I'm asking.
Well, I can't speak for that. My lived experience is I was raised, like I said, by a single father, so I can't really, I can't relate. And there's been studies that have been shown. It came out recently. Even Oprah said it, that Black men are the most active in their families. So, in my personal experience and what I've seen from Black men, I think it's to the opposite of what they're saying. So again, people that just have to say something and talk negatively. But personally, I stay focused on my mission and I'm not worried about it. So I'm almost apathetic to negative stuff like this.
No doubt. I love that. Love your response. Thank you, sir.
You know that 54% of Black men don't have kids, and then half of the Black men that do have kids, and that's being very generous, they're in their children's lives, as reported by the CDC and various outlets, when they fail to mention or understand that 61% of Black women have children. There are 4 million more Black mothers than Black fathers, 61 to 46%, right? So this is why I'm in these spaces, and you guys hear me reiterate these talking points over and over again, because every time there's a Black woman that has some hate that's directed towards Black men, the first thing that they cite is the deadbeat dad narrative. Or they talk about Black men not being good fathers. That is their go-to. So the more that I push statistical data explaining what the truth is, the more we can stop these conversations from being had. Let's continue.
Because it's the woman's fault for keeping it, since we have a choice. It's just really strange to me what we now view as a positive reinforcement or a positive image to the young generation. The idea of just putting on a suit, we are sitting here witnessing a RICO case where goddamn Young Thug and everybody from YSL are constantly in suits. We sat here and saw YNW Melly, who killed his friend, got off, but was in a suit every time we saw him in court.
Also, the man that
she's correlating the two, the rappers on trial right now and wearing suits, and the guys that were in Dallas doing their meetup wearing suits. She's saying that's the same thing. That's insane to me. Like, I'm learning a lot, and that's why I'm bringing this to the forefront so you guys can learn as well. It's not to sit here and just why you care about what black women think. No, I want people like the pro-black community. I tend to have most of the issues with those guys, the quote-unquote Hotep guys, because they feel that I'm pushing a narrative that is against black love. It's not. I'm pushing the narrative of being logical, and I want them to see these videos as well, because every time they have these conversations about Queen Mother Goddess and black women don't do this and black women don't do that, and you don't know why black men are just deciding to go overseas to find different women, or they're just not trying to date black women altogether, you guys will understand where these black men are coming from. Because if they don't see these videos, because for some odd reason.
So real quick, I know you got to go, brother. What are your closing comments? What closing comments would you like to have before you leave, man?
Yeah, I would just say to all the brothers of all different ages, continue to invest in yourself. Continue to surround yourself with inspirational, positive, and kind brothers like the Kosher Clinician, like all of the brothers who are at the conclave. Make sure that you, for the next year's conclave in Houston, Texas, you make yourself readily available. Continue to invest in soft skills. Continue to develop yourself so that when it comes down to the choices that you want to make in life, you drive that bus to success and not others' opinions of yourself. And do not let anybody's negative words prevent you from being the best version that you possibly can be. And I just wish all the brothers the most success in life.
No doubt, man. I appreciate it, man. We're finished, man. Thank you for tuning in, and enjoy the rest of your night or day.
All right, my
appreciate
brother.
it, brother.
All right.
Be good, brother. All right, guys, we're going to get back to this. We're going to finish critiquing this, and then we're going to end the stream, guys. Hold tight.
Every time they have these talking points, they can't point to anything that's being said about black men on these channels. So that's why I'm here, and that's why I'm reviewing this type of content, because I want this to be known. I want people to understand what black men are going through in their own community. And this is not a conversation that I am willing to have with black women. I would like black women to have this conversation with black women. But the funny thing is, when you see women like this, you never see any women of prominence discussing it. They never sit there and say, hey, man, y'all doing too much. Leave them black men alone. And that lets me know that they are either for what these women are saying, or they just don't care enough to check them. So that's why I'm here. I'm not going to have this conversation with black women. I'm not going to sit there and tell them that they don't have a right to talk about black men in suits. They have every right to do that. But don't think that I'm not going to highlight it so I can educate the black community on what black men are facing from our own women, mind you. Let's continue.
Ernie Smollett cheated on her husband with in that Tyler Perry movie, also had on a suit the whole.
And they're also referencing movies. Here we go.
And guys, that goes back to the internalized victim mindset. That's the internalized victim mindset. Always a victim. Always looking at things through a negative lens instead of looking at things from a positive lens. And that's the internalized victim mindset. And many will wonder why so many say that there's a percentage, don't personify the virtues of what black men are looking for, but also why so many say that they're not our women, the ones that do it, because every chance they get a chance to castigate or cast aspersions towards black men, they do it over and over and over and over again.
Time, and he gave her HIV.
Well, shit. There was a businessman in the other Tyler Perry movie where he ended up doing her wrong and kicking her out for the white girl. Mm-hmm. That's where she fell in love with the bus driver.
Yes, and he also wore suits.
He wore a suit every time.
So they're saying, hey, if you wear a suit, you're gonna be just like the guys in the Tyler Perry movie. So it don't matter. Lord, like I said, I'm learning a lot about.
And guys, mental illness is real. And what you see manifesting is mental illness. Mental illness is real, and what you see manifesting is mental illness.
Social media, and they were dead serious about this. Like there was no joking or nothing. So let's continue.
So to me, I think that's the problem, right?
So now we just all need
now
to be
you're
date-
a good man.
Now we all need to go date the good men that are bus drivers. Is that what's happening
now a man in a suit is viewed as a good example or a good man, and to me, I don't know. I want more conversations being had with young black men. I want more ways in which we can reinforce good examples of black men for younger black youth.
Yeah.
So let me say this. Black women have no right to be sticking their nose in regards to what black men are doing. You guys are in a crisis. The least married, the most child deletions. I could go down the list, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not even going to do that. So the last of your worries need to be on what black men are doing. You guys need to be focusing on black women because, as I stated before, the black woman's ethnic image is piss poor. And it seems like nobody cares, especially black women. So you telling us what we need to be talking about in regards to black men, no. Your focus needs to be on black women because y'all need the most help. Stop worrying about black men. We are not your concern anymore. Focus on black women.
And I think it still goes back to just being present in the home and really having conversations. The fact that we've had conversations about how we don't feel like men are holding their friends as adults accountable for being faithful in relationships, for showing up as fathers, for not raping or molesting or taking it.
You see how far this went? You see, this conversation that they're having stems from them seeing black men in suits. So talking about all this stuff, bringing this up when you just see black men in suits, this is absurd. And it's embarrassing.
Advantage of women. There's no accountability even being held amongst adult men. So again, for this to now be, let's all get in a suit and we're a great role model for the younger youth. I really think there needs to be a conversation with what that looks like. But again, I didn't want to make this a male bashing podcast.
Oh, she didn't want to make it a male bashing podcast. I think it's a little too late for that.
So I did want to ask you, what does it look like for we as women to be good role models or good representations or representatives or reinforcements for younger women? And I say that because I'm sure a lot of people be like, now, bitch, you on here cussing, talking about sucking dick. Are you a good reinforcement for the youth?
And that's the thing. This is the young lady from the Horrible Decisions podcast.
We at the goddamn jacuzzi. And if anyone has been to hedonism, the jacuzzi on the nude side is where everything motherfucking happens. We're here at the jacuzzi and there's a bitch to my right sucking dick. There's another woman to my right getting head. We're drunk as fuck at this time. And finally, the nigga who was eating my toes, he hops in. He's all ready to goddamn. He's like, I just want to eat you out. And I'm just like, you know what? Fine. So I hop my ass up on the side of the goddamn jacuzzi and I just lift my leg like so and just put his head in. I'm just like, okay, eat this. You know what? Then I hop up after that nigga was eating my ass, right?
Look at the level of debauchery, guys, that you hear. Look at the level of debauchery. The level of debauchery, guys, is appalling. Look at the level of debauchery. You got men coming together trying to be professional and having a level of decorum, but this is what's been reduced to our current so-called community. I'm not saying it's all black women. I'm not saying that. I want to be clear. But sadly, it's too many that think like this and affirm this type of negative thinking. Shout out to my man, the architect, as he and Quiet Storm are the #1 sponsors of the stream. The architect said that I could never, and I appreciate that, brother. And so many are not never, or so many are not doing this because it's appalling to say the least. Thank you, sir.
That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Got 5 on it.
Slide over to my homegirl. I take her foot out of the water and I start sucking on her toes. my homegirl. And I'm like, I ain't never sucked toes in my life. But then I felt like technically you only suck in chlorine because bitch, it's in a pool. So it's not like dirty feet or feet that just came out of a shoe. It's like, you suck in chlorine. This is cool. It tasted just like skin. So I was like.
And guys, these women, sadly, we know it's not all, but these women, sadly, are a microcosm. They are a microcosm of a burgeoning macrocosm. And all too often we see this type of behavior. You know, they look down on the high tier men in their early years, call them nerds, call them lames. But when those older men or those men decide to get their act together, get their money up, they'll say, you're selfish for not coming back to the black community and helping me take care of, and I mean take care of, all my children, not children, but children. And thus is the current.
And Gary, all our suffering, all our pain, somebody needs to be held accountable, and they need to pay.
And they want you, the architect, and the quiet storm, to come back and take care of all of their children while not giving you anything in return, not giving you a modicum of femininity, not giving you anything that can ease their mind. They want you to take care of their children and be okay with it. And like Porky Pig said, that's all, folks.
Back home, bro.
Okay, this ain't too bad. I don't know if
So this woman is trying to shame black men for wearing suits and not being positive images, but her whole podcast shtick is about women having sex, being free. And this is not me saying this. I'm gonna let her tell you. These are her definitions of a positive example for black women. And I hope there's black women ninja watching, and I hope there's black women in the comment section. You tell me, black men wearing suits are what she thinks black women should view as positive images. Listen to what she says.
And I'm not going to lie, the conversations that I now have on Horrible Decisions, who I show up as, I actually love that I am reinforcing you having autonomy of your own body.
Yes.
That's one. Autonomy over your own body. That's what she's pushing for black women. Here we go.
Making the choices that please you. Learning to self-pleasure yourself before thinking a man.
Having autonomy over their own body, but at the same time, complaining about black men or the good brothers not taking care of their kids. And you're right, the architect. They will be waiting until Jesus return. And and you know, consistent with the Bishop Marvin Winans. Marvin Winans is telling men not to go and simp because there's a lot of men that are simping, and the plea for the day is, guys, go and simp no more. And simp no more.
Man has to.
Learning to pleasure yourself. This is what she thinks is positivity for young black women. Yeah, let's continue.
I sat here
and also learning the value of boundaries in every one of those instances.
Absolutely.
Yes.
But even boundaries within friendships, within those things, I think that, you know, even being a woman who is an entrepreneur and has talked about leaving corporate America and
telling young black women to become entrepreneurs, even though we know that black female entrepreneurs only make on average $24,000 annually. And only 2% of those businesses have any type of revenue that they achieve. So this is what she's promoting. Black women, you tell me if this is a better representation for your daughters, for your sisters? You tell me.
At one point, depending on men or thinking I needed men on a financial level when, pulled up, my own bootstraps and got to work and made it happen.
But listen to this woman. She comes on with the bonnet on. She's overweight, and this is what tends to happen. I could literally draw out an avatar.
And guys, this is what you young men that are single gotta pick from. They shame the good women that made bad choices, but now they are taking ownership. And anything you say and anything you try to do, they won't listen because they cannot see themselves through the lens of correction. So my heart goes out to the single men that have never been married, because sadly, it's not really a lot to choose from.
Of the type of black woman that's going to be pissed off at what black men are doing. So here, right, you see in the background, these are the black men that were lined up doing their Dallas meetup. She has something to say about it. Listen to her.
This Twitter that I'm sure you have seen this video. It's literally just a video of them going down a line of black men in suits, and the caption is "Black man in positive image." And when anyone is giving them pushback or asking about this picture, they're just saying we're being negative. But I just have a few questions. How many of these men are husbands or significant others? How many of these men are active fathers in their children's lives?
Why? Here we go.
If there is child support to be paid, is it current? Are these men active partners in their relationships? How are they positively influencing their local community? Are they holding men around them accountable who do not do the things that I just said?
And guys, once again, a community that only benefits them, a community that only benefits them. They speak community when it comes down to service, but they speak individualism when it comes down to power. You cannot have a community, guys, without the admonition and the respect of the men in that said community. Community when it comes down to servitude, but when it comes down to power, individualism. Make it make sense.
Because it's not enough for you to be the type of man that lives up to the societal image of what a positive black man is. But if you entertain men who are not that way, you're just as big of a problem, especially if you don't call them out. I guess I just don't understand why black men knowing what Burlington Coat Factory is means it's a positive image.
Here we go. Shame and language. And this is coming from her. And I already told you guys, and I'm being as nice as possible, I am never impressed by the caliber of women that get on these spaces and talk mess about black men. Never impressed. And she is a prime example of that. It is what it is. This is just embarrassing.
But okay, all right.
All right, so this is the outlet that did the meetup, right? If you guys don't know, it's called Black Menswear. They have...
So Black Menswear guys did the meetup, almost 500,000 followers. And they're trying to do things for the positive image of black men. Once again, guys, sadly, there's a percentage that want to tell you how to live your life. They don't want you to live your life into perpetuity. They want to minimize your right to self-determination. There's a percentage, and they will try to shame you into taking bad deals.
Somebody,
and that's why these conversations are so important.
All my children and mine and Gary, all our suffering, somebody needs to be held accountable, and they need to pay.
On Instagram, and they have a significant amount of followers on other platforms as well. They have sponsorships with NASCAR, all types of different notable places. They do a lot for black men and typically in the black community. So this is the response to somebody hating on them. They're saying, love, bro, but we also done a lot in the community. This was a suit drive with the Dallas Mavericks. Last week, we did a Beyond the Game Dream Lab to show youth the opportunities with sports outside of being a player. We supported a school being built in Ghana. We fed the homeless. So these guys are doing a lot of great work in the community and also abroad, right? And for some odd reason, black women just, they decided that it was their time to shine to shame black men. So hopefully you guys understand why I'm showing this stuff, because nothing's going to ever be enough for black women. And I remember I asked this question a while back, like what level do black men need to reach? And it was kind of me being facetious, but what level do black men need to reach in order for black women to get in line and start to follow our lead? And nobody really had an answer, but this is one of these examples as to say that nothing will ever be enough. So I say this to black men, you guys just do what you need to do and don't have it in your mind that you're doing it for black women. And don't even have it in your mind that you're doing or you're bettering yourself for the black community, because it seems like we can't get support from our own people. And it wasn't just black women. It was black men on there going in, y'all, it's corny, and didn't even.
And yeah, and a lot of these black men, sadly, they're not raised by masculine men. They've been raised by the moms. And many of them will say this. They will say that I have no choice.
Why are you destroying our planet?
I have no choice.
Simps are dangerous.
Do their research. So like I said, black men, be selfish, become great on your own, and don't have it in the back of your mind that you're doing this to impress black women. Because if you think that, then you'll never win. I'm going to just tell you that right now. So, I mean, maybe it would have been better if all of those black men were lined up and they had their pants sagging and they looked like the Pookie and Ray Rays that these women are getting pregnant by. Maybe that would have caught their attention and they would have been out there trying to support. And granted, let me give credit to the black women who did support those black men that did the suit drive. Kudos to Black Menswear. But yeah, black men, don't ever have it in your mind that you're trying to get to a certain level to appease black women, because it'll never be enough. And this situation right here was a prime example of that. If you feel some type of way as a black woman, then why don't you talk to your fellow black women? Don't come over here trying to talk to me, because you guys see the proof. I'm at a low tolerance level when I have any black women in my comment section saying anything about black men where you are not actively involved in trying to repair the black woman's ethnic image. You don't have that right anymore. No black woman has that right to come on my platform anymore to talk about what black men need to do. I was open to it for a little bit to have the conversation, but not anymore. And
sadly, guys, that's why you got to recuse yourself, focus on yourself, focus on the good that you can do, and start dealing with women that respect, honor you, and respect you, and it's going to follow your leadership. Because sadly, women in the West have become a cesspool of not only mediocrity, but have become a cesspool of contradictions and often try to undermine the things that can impact your mental health.
Till I see you guys doing the work and start talking to your fellow black women, then you can start coming over here and telling us, hey, I think it would be best if, you do this for black women because we're trying to better ourselves in this right. No. Until then, you don't have that right. Sorry.
All right, guys, we're going to end it. I think we're going to end it here. Thank you to the 26 that were watching, and to the nerds, the so-called nerds. It gets better later. If you are in need of a non-diagnostic consultation, come see me at kosherclinician at gmail.com. I'll work with you. Come see me at kosherclinician at gmail.com. And because some of you men, before you go to the next stage in your life, need to understand how thinking errors are impacting you in a negative way. And also go check out my man Soul if you want to get some soul when it comes down to your image, your class, and your style. Guys, this has been a good one. We're going to sign off in a minute, but come see me at the Kosher Clinician for a non-diagnostic consultation. These consultations are not bona fide therapy, but there's ways to help you to deal with parameters around the issues that you're dealing with.
Are you a victim of brokenness and despair? A broken man is a hopeless man, and a hopeless man is a very dangerous man. Many times, many of you young men that are listening come from homes that are very toxic and very dysfunctional. And because of that, many of you have deferred your power in many ways to the point it's led over into your social life and many times led over into your relationships. If you guys are dealing with mental health pathologies, conscious and unconscious, come see me at kosherclinician@gmail.com. That's kosherclinician@gmail.com. It's important that you deal with your mental health in order to be a better person for yourself, your loved ones, and also your community. But because mental health is often stigmatized, many of you often suffer in silence. Don't be a victim in silence. And see me once again at kosherclinician@gmail.com. And I need you guys to remember this. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, it ain't right. There are 7 steps that a man must go through in order to become an optimized male. And male mental health is one of those elements that's paramount to the functioning of a man. Be well.
Before there was the manosphere, I was. Before
When my friends go, it was simple. When the ends low, switch the tempo. I got right, I got heart, I won't die, I'ma fight. I go down, then I strike. I go hard day and night, yeah. I go hard day and night. 1 to 1, no surprise. See the hate in their eyes. My brother's blood money bleed. I got the game in the squeeze. What would you do for some green? What would you do for some blues? Go pick and choose, the fam of the cheese. Some people not built like that. Some people get killed like that. Pressure like water, lights, mortgage, I've been at bills like that. Now I got kids like that. No wonder why I feel like that. Some people go to war for nothing. Me, I go to war for something.
Before there was the manosphere, I was. Before there was the internet, I was.
When the ends low, switch the tempo. I got right, I got heart, I won't die, I'ma fight. I go down, bet I strike. I go hard day and night. Money on the line, keep calling. Money on the books, need all that. My kids, they'll be ballin'. Got a real bankroll, not for Instagram. My mama on the line, keep calling. Praying for me, know I need all that. Told me it's not about ballin'. Real blessed, but I'm still sinning, man. What would you do for a win? What would you do for your friends? What if this life is a foe? What if the dogs pretend? What if you rode to the end? What if you started again?
Fire! The Kosher Clinician.
Laugh it to the bank like ha 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 ha. Laugh it to the bank like ha ha.
Guys, we're signing off on this cool fall Sunday. Been a great show with my man Soul as we talk about the importance of black male image. Thank you to the #1 sponsors of the show on tonight, The Quiet Storm and The Architect, followed by Top Gun and several other brothers that donated on tonight. Remember, men, it gets better later, and never let anybody take your shine. Keep your head up high, keep your standards high, and keep your haters far away from you. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Be well.
Laugh it to the bank like ha 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 ha. I got it in 10s, 20, 50, 100s, 10s, 20, 50, 100s, 10s, 20, 50, 100s, 10s, 20, 50, 100s. I get it, I flip it and continue. I've been going dumb, I've been going mental. Going up, I'm on another level. All black clothes like I'm metal. Little this and this, little Ricky Rick. It's my grandmama, I'm her Nicky Nick. I just wanna love, but I've been